Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Angel Dust, a Japanese slow burn thriller from 1994 that was directed by Sogo Ishii. Now, this director started his career in the late 1970s and early 1980s with some highly influential punk films like Panic High School, Crazy Thunder Road, and Burst City. After that, he did a one-off comedy, quite an odd one, and good one, with The Crazy Family, and then he went through a dreamy, mesmerizing period in his career in the 1990s, with films like Angel Dust, August in the Water, and Labyrinth of Dreams. After that, he did a period actioner in Gojo, or Gojo-e, and a ridiculous cyberpunk flick called Electric Dragon 80,000 Volts. During much of the 2000s and 2010s, he seems to have worked on more obscure titles that are really hard to find. The one that I saw was a film called Isn't Anyone Alive from 2012, which was pretty terrible and easily the worst thing I've ever seen from him. But overall, this director has had a very interesting career. I'm actually quite a fan of him, and I would like to see more of his stuff if it ever becomes available. Angel Dust is probably my personal favorite Sogo Ishii film, so I wanted to revisit it and do a review. So a psychiatrist named Setsuko Suma is called in to help the police solve an ongoing case involving a serial killer who murders women in crowded subways by sticking them with syringes that are filled with lethal poison. Her investigation leads to a religious cult, as well as her former mentor and lover, who becomes the prime suspect in the case. Now, Angel Dust is a deliberately paced film that is loaded to the brim with psychological manipulation and disorientation. I mean, this has like a combination of expert camera work, scoring, editing, and set designs that kind of plunge the viewer into a hypnotic mental state. The imagery that Ishii captures gives the film a lot of personality and individuality. It's kind of hard to find movies that feel quite like this one. It also captures Tokyo very well. The score uses a mix of percussion and rhythmic tunes. I find that, in terms of editing, the abrupt cuts to silence are quite unnerving, and this movie has quite a bit of those. Scenes where the sound just quickly drops off. I really like that. And also, in terms of the set designs, even right at the beginning of the film, our lead detective's in like this virtual reality machine. It's kind of like, this film almost has a slight futuristic vibe to it too, which I find pretty interesting. So there's a lot going on here. In terms of specific sequences to look out for, there's a slideshow sequence where the detective is presenting a slideshow, and it has a lot of cuts to black between the pictures, and they cut real fast. It's pretty disorienting, kind of, I don't know, it was making me fidget a little bit. It was getting to me. There are also a few fuzzy videotape scenes that involve brainwashing, as well as a highlight brainwashing sequence near the end involving a videotape. So this film is pretty weird. But it's so precisely executed from like a visual and audio standpoint that it creates a very impactful psychological effect. While you watch this, it almost feels like you're on drugs. So this movie kind of messes with your head a little bit. But it's not like hyper psychedelic or anything like that. It's very kind of low key, but it's, I don't know, it almost feels like subliminal, like you're getting subliminal messages or something. It's pretty cool. Of course, the psychological aspect of the film is not just a stylistic choice, it's also an integral part of the story, and a recurring theme from start to finish. To start with, there's a feeling of anxiety because the victims are killed in crowded, public places. The idea of being just surrounded by people, yet still being vulnerable to being killed at any moment is pretty terrifying in concept. And the criminal profiling that the detectives do is pretty stimulating. Try to figure out what type of person this killer is. And they also try to profile the mentality of the victims at times as well, which is pretty neat. And then on top of all this, you have this weird concept of hypnosis or brainwashing that could be contributing to the crimes, or at the very least be contributing or affecting the detectives that are investigating it. So it's all a very interesting combination of stuff here. In fact, when I was rewatching this, I gotta wonder if Kiyoshi Kurosawa was slightly influenced by Angel Dust when he made his film Cure, which released a few years after this. I personally think that Cure is the superior film just because it's so densely packed with just awesome stuff. But there are a few similarities in terms of style and themes that you will notice if you watch both films. With that said, though, I would say that Angel Dust is the weirder film of the two. There are some odd, for example, romantic relationships in this, especially in relation to our female lead. I mean, you have this female psychiatrist, and she's kind of weird, and that's our main character. There's some interesting revelations that occur in this film that I did not see coming. It's pretty good. Also, in the middle of the film, the narrative loosens a little bit. During the middle section, it starts to like meander and kind of explore different things. And when you're watching, you're like, I don't know, is this movie going to like lose focus and go off the rails? But it doesn't. It tightens up again. And the ending, the whole finale, is actually surprisingly clean and understandable for a film like this. There are some aspects that I think are subject to some interpretation, but for the most part, this wraps up the story and the conflicts in a fairly neat manner, I think. So, if you don't like films that are completely like, I guess you would say, not understandable or don't make any sense, you don't have to worry about that here. I think most of the stuff in this movie does kind of make sense. One side observation. It's nice to know that Blanton's bourbon was making an impression in Japan as early as the 1990s. So if you have not tried Blanton's bourbon, I highly recommend it. It's featured at least once or twice in this film. I was kind of surprised. The only warning I would give you, if you're thinking of watching this, is that Angel Dust moves very slowly. It's a slow film. So take that into consideration. But fans of like weird, mesmerizing, psychological thrillers should make this film a high priority, especially if you like slightly weird films. It's currently available on Region 3 DVD with subtitles on websites like DDD House. So, you can find it online, either on eBay or DDD House. There might even be another version on Yes Asia, too. So it's floating around out there. And as always, I'll see you next time.